Hey guys, MegamanNG here, and welcome to the first ever MegamanNG reviews, where I basically review episodes from whether TV shows, animes, etc. I've done it before with movie reviews, but this time I'm taking it up a notch with, I believe, TV shows. And the one TV show I will be focusing on for now is Gotham. The reason being is that Arrow and The Flash don't come out for another 2 weeks. Yes, 2 weeks, and it sucks, but what can you do? Anyway, we're going to get started with the first episode of Season 2 called Rise of the Villains. Well, Rise of the Villains is the theme for Season 2, but the episode itself is named Damned If You Do. And there will be spoilers, so if you do not want to be spoiled on what it's all about, make sure you watch the episode, then watch the video again. I will provide a link in the description on where you can watch the episode, like, legally, like, maybe on Fox's website, but who knows. I'll put it there just in case. Anyway, the whole point of this episode is basically consisting of 3 separate plots. The first plot, which we're going to have main focus on, is involving James Gordon, portrayed by Ben McKenzie, and I have to admit his performance is pretty good. He was pretty good, and this kind of Gordon is different. Sure, he is a good cop and everything, but how he does things is quite different, especially with this episode where he loses his job due to a slip-up just because he pushed an officer aside. He pushed an officer but after having to deal with some loudmouth villain named Zardon. And Zardon, oh boy, how am I going to describe this guy? This guy looks like a fat guy. Well, not to offend. Looks like a guy with black armor and 2 katanas. And he's like, looking like he came out of hockey practice. Instead of getting hockey sticks, he has like katanas. And he couldn't even do much of a threat. He wasn't really that much of a threat, but he ends up becoming a focus later on in the episode. Anyway, after what happened with Gordon, he loses his job, and now he has no choice but to seek help from someone to get it back. You know who, right? The Penguin, portrayed by Robin Lord Taylor. Oh boy, the Penguin, aka Oswald Cobblepot. Oswald Cobblepot is just devious, he is evil, and he's also outright manipulative. If you saw Season 1, you know how he manipulated so many people just to get to where he is. That's a scary thought, I tell you. Very scary. However, the actor who portrayed him, magnificent. He was, without a doubt, even for the little screen time that he had, it was very good. Especially at the later part where he confronts Loeb. And yeah, Loeb was a serious pushover. The guy was like a jerk. He's like evil and just the worst. Example of a corrupt cop. Or rather, a corrupt official. So yeah, Gordon decides to help the Penguin out in exchange for helping him get his job back. Now, what surprised me is how far he was willing to go to do it. Because remember, this is Gotham City, and this is not the Gotham we know. This is a Gotham that's an alternate universe. Basically, everything is different. This is the Gothamverse, more or less. And hey, not all good people are bad, and not all bad people are good. So in the case of Gordon, he was desperate, and he really was determined to get his job back, even having to do something for the Penguin. Which, I have to admit, was rather surprising, not to mention scary. It really was, because in the end, he does get his job back. However, it ends up costing Loeb his job because he had to resign. And about that, he ends up meeting the Penguin and another villain, Victor Zsasz. And Victor Zsasz is the guy who's bald, by the way. Victor Zsasz was a recurring Batman villain, and he was like a deadly threat. In Gotham, he's just absolutely scary. Scary without any regard. Victor Zsasz is just one freak of nature, I tell you. Really freaky. He's loyal to Carmine Falcone in the series, and now he's loyal to the Penguin. And I felt like he just wanted to kill Loeb for what happened. Like, having him fired, and then when the Penguin showed up, it was just like man, it came out right out of nowhere. I apologize, everyone, if my commentary seemed a bit out of place, because I just finished watching the episode, and it was a very good one. It really was a very good one. So the next plot I will focus on, which involves young Bruce and Alfred. And after the events of the Season 1 finale when they discover the cave, which would eventually soon be the Batcave, Bruce was determined to figure out what's inside it. And all throughout the episode, you saw him fueling anger. He was so determined to, find out what's inside that he would have to resort to using explosives to do it. Of course, when he finds out, it's all the more bittersweet because his father left him a note, and it reminded me similar to Flashpoint on when Thomas gave Batman a letter. Well, it was the Flash who gave Bruce the letter, and it was the exact same way. But in this case, Thomas only wanted what was best for his son, just to find happiness. But if he was to find the truth, he would need a calling. And we know that's already an omen to what's yet to come for Bruce Wayne, who becomes Batman. I know we already know this by now, but yeah, it was an okay subplot, although the action with Bruce Wayne is just, it was like, I know, the guy was desperate. He wanted to know what was behind it, and he was willing to do whatever was possible to do it. I'm not kidding there. Bruce is portrayed by David Maxaus. I can't even figure out his last name right, and he did a pretty good job. He did a good job, and I did like how Gordon and Bruce did get along. Because there was one part of the first plot when Gordon paid a visit to Bruce, and Gordon wanted to tell him sorry because he couldn't do it, and he was left with a little choice, telling him that he was going to go to the Penguin to get help. So yeah, all the plots are connected, mind you. And hopefully when we find out more about this in the later episodes, we may learn why. And hopefully Bruce will have to make a choice. Now the last plot involves Barbara. You know Barbara, not Barbara Gordon, but Barbara Kean. Yeah, Barbara Kean, portrayed by Erin Richards. Basically, she used to be Gordon's girlfriend. Until some crazy stuff happened where she killed her parents, suffering a mental trauma, and ended up in Arkham Asylum. And yeah, ends up encountering Jerome, who you can tell would end up being the Joker. And I'm going to say right here, Jerome is absolutely terrifying. I really mean it. He's a smooth talker, but he's a little bit nuts. He really is a little bit nuts. His real name is Jalone Valeska, portrayed by Cameron Monaghan. And man, that's scary. It really is scary, to tell you the truth. It's just like, my lord, it's just nuts. It really is nuts. He's just crazy. He has the Joker laugh. And when I listen to it in the episode, I mean, dear God. I can imagine all the other Jokers laughing too, and they're saying that this Joker is just as good as us. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The third plot basically had Barbara arriving in Arkham Asylum, only for her and the rest of the inmates to end up being captured, or rather taken from Arkham to a guy named Theo Galavan, because of Zardon. Zardon ended up having some sort of like knockout gas that knocked everyone out, and basically had them all taken to Theo's place, where they would give him an ultimatum. They would give them an ultimatum. Would it be either work for him or end up dead? And one punk learned the hard way. Oh, man, I know that the theme of the season is Rise of the Villains, and I can tell throughout the entire episode it was intense. It was really intense from start to finish, even with the different subplots that were going on. Together they provided one cohesive story. And I know in the next few episodes, everything's about to take hold. So, yeah, what do I think about this? I actually did enjoy the episode. I really did enjoy the episode a lot, and there were a lot of good performances from everyone involved, including Gordon, who was the main focus throughout the episode, determined to get his job back, and he was willing to do whatever it takes to do so, too. But looking back on it now, I can finally understand how Gordon is so determined to make sure that there would be justice. Sometimes you have to get your hands dirty to get what you need. In this case, it's getting involved with the Penguin, which, mind you, he is also a great... Robin Lord Taylor did a great performance. He really was great. So, for my final verdict, remember, all of my scores for the reviews are opinionated. If I were to find any gripes, I don't know why, I felt like the pacing was a bit too fast. For the first episode, yeah, the pacing was a bit fast at first, but I felt that as the episode went on, things slowed down for a bit and it actually got good. It really did. But like I said, in the beginning, the pacing was quick. Gordon just got his job, lost his job at the beginning, only to have him get it back in the end. That's like, damn. And I also forgot to mention that we do get to see Harvey Bullock again, because after the events of Season 1, he lost his job and now works at a bartender. But he is still on good terms with James. I have a funny feeling we may be seeing him again pretty soon, since he is a regular throughout the entire series. But as I said, oh yeah, there is another thing I forgot to mention. Yeah, there was a scene with Edward Nygma looking at the mirror and seeing his reflection, and I feel like the guy is being schizophrenic. It's like he's freaking out. Yes, it was a scary thought. It really is, because seeing him talk to himself is just scary. And we know he ends up being the Riddler later on. We know he is the Riddler, if you know your Batman-verse. But seeing him confront his other self and trying to, shut it away is scary. It really is scary. So, Here's what I am going to say about this episode. All of them, it is very good. Like I already mentioned earlier, was very good. And as for the rating itself, all of my scores are opinionated. So if you feel like you want to disagree with me, you are more than welcome to do so. My final verdict for the first episode of the Rise of the Villain season, Damned If You Do, is an 8.5 out of 10. Very good episode, a good way to start the season, and all the performances were great. And with the rest of the series going forward, especially with next week when you have a new episode, I really am excited. Because Season 2 is going to be introducing a lot of new characters, and like the theme, the villains are going to rise up to bring hell to Gotham City. That's it for this week's Gotham review for the first episode of Season 2. I apologize if my commentary was a bit blah, because I didn't have time to get like all my notes ready, because I had to watch the episode, then write up all the info on the plots and everything. But hopefully later on I will get better at this, so that way I can provide much more better reviews, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. If you want to see the episode for yourself, the link's in the description below. But I recommend you watch the episode first before you watch my video reviews, because I don't want people being spoiled. I really don't, because that would be a really bad thing. Alright, that's about it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. It means a lot to me, and I'll see you guys next week for when I review Episode 2 of Gotham, Rise of the Villains, or Gotham Season 2. Peace out!